Hey, just seeing what's going on. Having a better day, nothing crazy, but just figured I'd see what's going on. Fucking this up. It's cool. Hey, I am just hanging out. Not doing much. Ugh. But a relatively okay day. Oh, tired. I've been in the weird fog for the last few days, but it's nothing I can't handle. The wave is definitely lifted, so yeah. Still got a ton going on, but in general, everything's calmed down. It doesn't feel like acute anymore to where, I can deal with it. Anxiety's still getting me because my symptoms are still high, but not like they were. So I can handle it now. I'm not freaking out. So yeah, could be worse. Can always be worse. Yeah, thank you. I went out. I didn't want to go out for work today, but I did just because I'd rather overdo it now than on the holiday. So I went out today, and then I'll go out again on Wednesday, and then that'll be it for that whole week. So I only go out once next week. Staying home messes me up, though, so I'm going to have to kind of figure out some things to do. I tend to freak myself out thinking about all the cuts I have to do for Remeron, but I know I shouldn't be thinking about it or overthinking it. That's kind of the problem. I overthink everything, especially when I'm in the thick of it. But I guess probably everybody does, when you're in the thick of it from withdrawal and nervous system damage, it's easy to freak out. Hence why my anxiety will always be high until I'm almost off this medicine. I'll get off of it one day. Now, 2 months not bad. It's terrible, but 2 months isn't bad. When I got ripped off of Xanax, I went through an acute. It was for about 6 months. It started calming down a little bit about 5 months.
How long?
Must have thought I said Surrey or something.
How long?
What? My phone's talking to me. Must have caught something I said. I kept on saying how long, but yet it sounded like. Whatever. So yeah, I went out for work today, and I didn't make it a long day, but it felt good to talk to people today. Right as I was leaving, a guy I was talking to said he was sick last week. I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't even want to fucking know. I hate being around people when they tell me they were sick. It's like, oh, fuck. Luckily, I don't get too close to anybody. Well, it's just like now when I cut, I go into these acute type waves and they this last cut lasted 2 months. And I'm still feeling it, but I'm better. It's just what happened. I mean, like now my cuts are so much worse after I fucked up the Remeron. So once I tapered too much almost a year now. Once I taped, it was like 9 months ago, I tapered too much. My nervous system's so shot, so everything's like 10 times harder. But yeah, they screwed me up bad, those benzos. I would have been off Remeron probably in 6 months, not years, if it wasn't for benzos. But yeah, I'm not saying your 2 months was a breeze because I know how bad the acute is. It can be so insane and scary, especially when you've never encountered it before. That's when it's really scary. Right at the beginning, it's like, holy shit. Your anxiety goes insane because you've never felt like that before. Not in that way. So, glad you got through it. Just keep going. Don't take more meds and blah, blah, blah. If your nervous system is shot like mine, which usually most people's aren't as bad as mine, but if it is, taking more medication will just make it worse. But I still got my anxiety going. Just not as bad as it was like a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, whenever it was. I don't know how long I'm going to hang out on here. I'm going to want to meditate a little bit. Try to hang out and relax my head. That'd be hilarious if the guy backs up right now. I'm going to do a refresher course on my story soon. Upload a couple videos that tell my story up to now. It's been a little while. I tell my stories on here all the time, but for anybody searching, you know. Laid down on the couch earlier and I pretty much instantaneously fell asleep. That never happens. It's like I don't actually remember trying to go to sleep, although it was only like 15 minutes. But that was pretty awesome. It was enough to give me a refresher today. Sometimes it makes me feel 100 times worse, which usually happens, but today it was well needed. But yeah, things have been better in in my world. Better. It's still pretty rough, but I'm not freaking out. I'm getting stuff done. I'm catching up on work, which to me is, you know, the most important, getting stuff accomplished here. I probably won't cut again for like 2 months. I don't know. I guess I'll see. It all depends on what I decide to do. But my next cut, I'll be at 1.0. That's always such a that's a milestone to get to 1 milligram. I've been doing these cuts for a million years, and I'm not going to try to do a smaller cut. I'm going to do the almost 10%, which is going to be brutal, but I want to get to 1.0, and I'll just tolerate it. Then after that, I might have to hold because I know we're going to end up moving probably in July or August. And I need to be as good as I can be. So I'll probably only be able to cut one more time by then. It sucks, but hate how slow it is, but that's the way if that's the way it's gonna be. I know at the end of December that's when I'm gonna talk to my girlfriend about, you know, what's going on and you know, if we're moving and find out what we're gonna do, try to find a place, if that's the plan and move forward. And if we do move, I'm definitely going to get a mover, which will be pricey, but I can only do so much, you know. Even setting up back at, you know, a new place is going to be hell enough. It's not like last time. Like I'm way more sensitive now than I was than before. So I'm gonna end up having to completely overdo it and just take the ramifications of it, which sucks because now I deal with terrible depression. So that's the one thing that sucks is that when I overdo it, I get severely depressed. Whereas before I didn't, but then I was also on a higher dose of Remeron. I was probably holding it back. But once I'm off the meds, everything will, you know, equalize and I won't get all that fucking depression anymore. I had, you know, I've never had depression like I had on these meds. Never. So I expect it to mostly go away. We'll see what happens. But I'm not pushing for dates to cut anymore. I'm not pushing for a timeline of when I'm going to be off my med and stuff like that. I'm just not going to do it anymore. This is my life right now, and this is the way it's going to be for a while. Do I want to go to shows with my girlfriend? Fuck yeah, I do. Do I want to do extra things? Fuck yeah, I do. But the only way that's going to happen is if I do it real slow. Because if I overdo it, I can end up killing myself or end up in a hospital and being on more drugs that I'm going to have to taper in the future and make this even more drawn out. Staying on the right path is what's most important. I'm hoping people stick with me while I do it all. I'm only on 1 milligram. Well, I'm on 1.1 milligrams of Remeron, and this is easily the hardest part. And it's going to take me a long fucking time to get off the rest. Just trying to live my life and not go crazy, be able to function. Oh, it's going to be fucking hard. So anyway, that's where I'm at. Decent days. Still really hard, but nothing like what I was dealing with a couple weeks back. I don't know why 2 months after cutting was my worst period of it, which seems a lot different than what I'm used to. But if that's the way it is, I'll at least know what's possibly going to happen next time, where it's just going to be hard and then get harder and harder till about 2 months in a week, and then it started to lift. It was wild. What a wild ride. Almost a quarter of a year for a cut. It's nuts. But next cut, I'll be at 1 milligram. I like that. At some point, I'll probably try to do smaller cuts. I know there's ways to do it. I've been learning. It's just not easy. I'm not going to switch over to liquid. It's just not it's just not what I'm going to do. But there's ways with cornstarch and shit like that, you can weigh it out to be half. And I might go that way, but if I go that way, it's just going to take a lot longer, you know? Yeah, a lot of people hallucinate, and I still hallucinate to this day, but not as bad. Depends on my cuts and stuff like that, you know? This cut, I was seeing a lot of shit. There was like a good 2 week period where I was hallucinating a lot more. But it's never like full apparition people, you know, it's just a lot of spots and shapes and matrixing and seeing things in the corner of my eye and just things moving. It just sucks, but it's just what I'm going to have to tolerate. When I have to figure out to cut a little smaller. But I'm still going to do the full cut next one so I can get to 1 milligram left, and that should appease me to at least feel more confident I'm at that point. It's going to be a rough cut, though. Especially with how sensitive I am, I'm sure it's going to even feel worse. We'll see. Well, you have a good evening. I'm going to cut out of here. Try to do a little meditation before I go hang out and do whatever. Hope you have a good night. And I will see you tomorrow's.